to start with this conversation, this nice panel, I will ask our guests of honor to introduce themselves. So please, Isabella, if you can introduce yourself, your career, background. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon from my side. I'm Isabella Tonaco, and I work for Neste, global leader for renewable and circular solutions. My background, I'm an agronomist, and I have been now with chemical industry for more than 10 years. I worked before with renewable sourcing of raw materials, and especially with the implementation of sustainability strategies in different industry segments, like personal care and now with polymers and chemicals. So I'm very happy to be here today and discuss with you some of the key learnings and findings we had with Circularise and other partners in the value chain in the last 6 months.
Thank you, Isabella. And my name's Phil Brown. I've been with Circularise actually for about 18 months, so coming up to 2 years. But I've known the two co-founders since they founded the company as a spin-out from TU Delft. The common connection there being the industrial design faculty where I was doing my PhD on collaborative innovation. How to actually get companies across a value chain to work together to deliver innovations for a circular economy. Prior to that, I've worked in consulting, also in not-for-profit. I've also worked, in industry and also worked at startups looking at recovery of plastic materials for 3D printing. I've been on about a 12-year journey of circular economy, and it's actually great to sit here today with actors that we're really trying to deliver it and develop it, especially around the reuse of materials. So Neste is obviously one of the key actors within this. They do a lot of work around recovering waste cooking oil that would otherwise go and become a pollutant and turning it into something that can be useful. And so today, I'm really happy to share what we've been doing within the ISCC project with multiple other parties, how we've brought that collaboration together and what the next steps might be. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So maybe first starting, as we're in the context of ICC and the scope is around sourcing materials, maybe a question for you, Isabella. How important is sourcing of materials for a chemical company?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I think also from my previous background, something that I also learned by doing several years back. So once a company makes a commitment towards a sustainability journey, one of the key departments that is in charge to deliver that promise is sourcing. And the first thing that you do as a buyer, you look for your suppliers, you try to make a time-bound plan, and you need to look for the sustainability promise that these suppliers are able to bring to your company and to your value chain. Of course, that you cannot do this alone, so you need your suppliers, but you also need to look for different types of certification schemes. And certification is very important because it gives a framework for companies and other stakeholders in order to keep a robust chain of custody. As soon as you have information from upstream about what the materials you are sourcing, what type of activities that are done on the ground, you are able to translate this into sustainability claims. Easy said, tough done, and that's why I think the work of circularizing, bringing digitalization in, especially manufacturing, it's essential to unlock the potential of sustainability to the entire value chain.
Thank you, Isabella. Then my next question would be, why Mass Balance? Why a certification scheme? Why ISCC?
Yes, Mass Balance is, if you look in the transformation journey that we are all in different segments, we need different technologies in order to achieve the sustainability targets. And Mass Balance comes to be a key enabler of this transformation. Why? Because you needed to combine different materials, and slowly but steady you can do a replacement of materials that are less sustainable. For instance, in the case of the petrochemical industry, you can, by incremental steps, reduce the fossil use while integrating different types of sustainable materials. The beauty of it is that it's like when you have the energy grid, you don't know exactly which electrons are green when you open your fridge, but every kilowatt you pay that is sustainable and green, you have access to that. In a similar way, once you have a mass balance system that is robust, you are able to measure and you're able to give those claims to your next player with confidence. There is a lot of buzz around mass balance because, of course, there is a lot of confusion regarding what is mass balance, what is book and claim, and identity preserve. All these topics, they are very complex and in a way very technical. So one more reason why using digital solutions that can support and complement the certification and the use of mass balance at scale.
So I just actually want to build on what Isabella was saying about scale as well, because last week I was at the European Chemical Recycling Conference as well, where they were talking about mass balance being an enabler for actually developing chemical recycling, which requires massive amount of investment. And so then when you've got a mass balancing system, you can start to look at, well, quantities of material that are available. You can then start to build this out looking at supply demand. And within a chemical process specifically, there's no way for you to accredit or understand without mass balancing because the materials get blended. And then if you're dealing with waste cooking oil from yourself or dealing with film recovery, which is really hard to do in a mechanical recycling process, you need to be able to account for that across an entire value chain. So mass balancing is not perfect in its current form. It's being worked upon still. But I do think it's going to be an enabler for a lot of these other innovations that we really need, especially if you want to look at incorporating 30% recovered materials into polymers by the end of 2030, which is coming into effect. So we don't even have enough source material from mechanical recycling to do this, and therefore having a mass balance system that can allow you to accredit this across a supply chain and prove it and have that audited is super important.
Thank you for that. Then another question for you. How did this ISCC pilot with other companies emerge from Circularise? Can you give a bit of context of how it started and how did it evolve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So actually with partners that we have here from Marubeni, they were really interested in the idea of traceability, but they were trying to identify a way to explore this. And they picked up on the ISCC certification because in Japan it is being explored, it's being scaled. We were already in contact with Neste, and Neste in their position at the beginning of the supply chain, recovering that waste cooking oil that would otherwise become a pollutant. We were raising that, so actually we then created what I would call an open invitation letter. We set out a scope, we identified what the challenge was, some ways of working. So actually what Circularise does is act at the collaboration level, but also bidirectionally with each partner. So we also created a range of workshops, understanding the type of structure that data would need to be in. This was with the support of the ISCC, because they have the rule book, but that rule book is open to interpretation. Different actors interpret in different ways. So what we tried to do in the first phase was we tried to actually create a standardized template for that, make sure that that interpretation was less across the different actors, and then engaging all the way to end brands. So we do have over on this table one example with Philips Domestic Appliances. There were others in the project, such as Arçelik, who are doing white goods, as well as Itochu in Japan, and we also had EVBox, which was actually, again, another actor we'd been speaking to, and they were already purchasing ISCC materials. Now, that was the evolution of the original scope of the project, to do the traceability of that. But off the back of this, when we identified the challenges that are inherent within the ISCC process and the tools that are being used, which today is largely spreadsheets, we also came to the conclusion that developing the mass balancer tool would be a good way to go. And we did this in partnership with our customers, in this case Neste, as well as others. And that's again how Circularise really acts as that independent bridge across the supply chain, because it was very important for us to get competing actors within the project so that it is not a single solution for one supply chain. It is actually a solution for all. And then I would invite Isabella to actually share her experience as one of our customers within that process.
Thank you. Yeah, I love to talk about this project because personally I was fascinated about the use of blockchain to unlock sustainability potential. And when Circularise pitched their solution to us and say, hey, finally, I'm going to get to do my project, dream project. But it was a very natural development because as their aim is to solve an issue as well as us and to make sustainability scalable, it was very nice and a natural progress over time. So I think key learnings from myself were, first of all, understanding that each value chain player may have a different understanding of the rules, the definitions that we have in the market about renewables, about the biomaterials, and this is one element that also blocks or hurdles the scalability of many of the sustainability strategies that we have outside in the market. The other thing was, if we work collectively and if we look into the future, what type of sustainability claims are meaningful, are driving impact? We are in a process of evolution. We are looking into sometimes very often looking to compliance type of activity or banning or what I don't want to show, instead of looking what are the sustainability claims and drivers that will drive impact on the ground. It's about the water savings, it's about the biodiversity protection, inequalities. How do we elevate the discussion to what really matters, to what really drives impact? And I think in this group of forerunner companies led by Circularise, I think we have got now a prototype, a product that we can further develop. And most important, I think we all understand that we needed to continue this journey in order to elevate to the future.
And just one little element that I would add to what Isabella said there as well, the brands who joined us, so Philips Domestic Appliances, Arçelik, as well as EVBox, their challenge is that they know they're buying ISCC certified materials. They know kind of roughly where it's coming from, but the chain of custody, the ISCC certification, is not held throughout the value chain. And so I would always invite you to have a look at the Philips Domestic Appliances website and see the number of asterisks that are on that website giving caveats to X, caveat to Y. And of course they don't want to do that, but they also don't want to find themselves in a situation where they're actually either held accountable via ISCC for not following the rules because they're not actually certified, and or by the public who are buying their products. So again, this is that sort of point of view which Isabella is saying about what information is it that a consumer needs or desires to be able to make that choice. Now, Philips Domestic Appliances has put their neck out by saying we're going to do 100% bio for this product, and they know they're buying it, but they can't prove it. So that's also the other challenge that we were trying to work upon as well.
Perfect. So, any thoughts for the future?
Yeah, I think following what you said, how do you back up sustainability claims in a very complex value chain? And think about manufacturing. You may have, for one player, so many sites, so many recipes, different ingredients, parts of these recipes. How do you manage this complexity? And then at the same time, you have one technology that you are replacing, let's say fossil, but you need many more. So how you combine all this, and then you have to calculate your bill of materials, you have to do your accounting system, that becomes really troublesome. Looking to the future, if you have a digital way to calculate all these technologies, this positive sustainability impact that they're driving into your value chain, you can rather focus on what do I need to do to elevate, to get more, to go beyond certification, to go beyond compliance. And then you're investing funds in what really matters instead of managing operational challenges that you have within manufacturing, because the systems have not been designed for sustainability. If you look back how all the Industry 4.0 has been discussed, we are still behind in making sustainability at the core of operations, and how do you execute those? So this is a little bit, in the future, we should focus on what matters and not administrative tasks.
I think for myself, the future would be really engaging more with consumers, because I think if you were to pick a consumer off the street and ask them, do they have any understanding about ISCC certified materials and do they care? Firstly, they probably don't know what it is, and secondly, they probably don't care. But for me, what is the next step, and because the mass balancing is just a tool, again, to be able to prove where materials are coming from in a flow. But it's really, and I think what Isabella was saying about going beyond the certification, going beyond what the regulation is asking for today. And actually, this is also what we've been doing in another project with LyondellBasell, as well as Neste, actually, where we're going beyond where the regulatory landscape is to try and actually create a position to say this is possible, because no one has the answer yet. And also the regulations are coming. but we don't have clarity on what type of data set. So I think and this is also my lens that I would like to do, is really end-to-end traceability. So again, we've traced until the product. Now we've traced a toaster that will sit in someone's house for 20 years, maybe, who knows how long. But what can we do with it at the end, when that then comes back to an end-of-life recycler? Again, we have the Samsonite suitcase here that's got a DPP prototype. Now that's also coming from biological material. Now, end of life, if we can recover that, can that be reused? How many times? Can we account for this? And my concern, if we don't actually do this in a robust manner, so I don't know if anyone's noted that H&M was recently sued for some of their claims about their conscious collection. Now, if we do this too many times, consumers who are already potentially willing to pay more, if you can validate that goodwill and that desire to pay more for a sustainability product will probably deteriorate. So if we call this the decisive decade, which some are calling it the decisive decade, we don't have too many chances to mess around with consumers' perception and their willingness to purchase sustainable materials. So that's me going future into where we can go. But again, I would say collaboration. Circularise cannot do this by ourselves. Neste cannot do this by ourselves. We need everyone else to get on board as well.
One team.
So now we will open a round for questions. If everyone has any questions around these companies, the pilot we're presenting, mass balance, anything, the technology of Circularise, also circular roadmap in Neste, please, again, don't be shy. We're here to help and to answer.
Or if you would prefer, we can stay behind and you can ask us on a more bi-directional basis. But I mean, feel free to ask questions, or if anything we said didn't make sense.
So I'm Michael from Digitising. One question from my side: do you have for the mass balance already a test system that you can prove something with our processes?
So from the Circularise lens, yes, it is a test system that you can start using today. It is still manual. We were discussing this earlier before, so I don't know if you're planting this question for me to say, but thank you. But we are working on more automated processes as well. But yeah, there is possibility for you to start working with us today. Neste and others have already started. Well, essentially they were part of the design process as well. We're not finished with that design process. I'm not saying that we have the finished article, that we've solved all of the problems. I mean, if we have, then great, we can all pack up and go home, but we're not. But yeah, I would also then pass to Isabella to identify their experience as a corporate who's using the system and also using our traceability system as well. So there are two levels to what we're doing. Mass balance is just one. But Isabella.
Hey, looks pretty good. I'll invite you to test. No, I think yeah, it has been really fascinating working with the team because yeah, especially knowing from a manufacturer point of view, from the challenge that I had experienced in the past, how to make that into reality, number of Excel sheets, and then putting things manually, the time and the effort that was spent, and actually just to make it happen. Once we started collaborating, identifying the challenge and how to approach it, it was so fast designed, and it's also very user-friendly, I think, which is super important. And I think besides that is also how to make this as a complementary asset to certification, right? So certification and traceability is a means to an end to achieve sustainability goals, but you needed to create this as a robust system. So with their solution, basically you have this twin, yeah, that basically complements certifications, enhances traceability, and helps others to pass on claims in a secure way. You like it?
In addition to, thank you. Do you have already connected this system to your ERP system of SAP something?
So we are in a process now to, 2023 I say is the scale year, yeah. So how do we integrate that? How do we also learn how best to do that? It's going to be an exercise, a learning exercise, but the team at Neste is fully dedicated to it and very inspired to get going. So.
I would just add one element that actually Domo, who we're co-locating with here, has done a test on our old system, so that would need to be redone for the new system as well. But again, mirroring what Isabella said, 2023 is when we really want to scale this, as well as other partners within the project. We're exploring that as we speak.
And pretty good.
Hi, my name's Matt from Wales, and I wanted to ask two questions. My first one is, how big is the team that's working on this?
At Circularise or at Neste, or across the whole project?
Across the whole project.
Oof. Well, I think we had some meetings. Laura, how many? Yeah. So Laura is our project manager on the call, so she was managing some meetings with.
Yeah, so basically our team in Circularise, we're 40 people. Not all of them, half of it is development team, so you can do that. And then from each company, I think we had 2 to 3 champions, plus also sustainability advisors. They bring us also, they shared ISCC insights with us because it was co-creation. We really believe in that process to make sure that the final product is correct, because if it comes from a technology perspective, following just the rules, but then we leave a lot of headspaces. But basically, if you count on 11 companies, 2, 3, 4 champions in each company plus Circularise.
And just one addition on that as well, throughout the project, partly to support the management of the project, we ran some workshops, but we also did some complementary workshops as well, discussing blockchain basics and deep dive. And there, I think we had, 50? So that was an opportunity for each company, partner company, to invite multiple actors to learn about what was going on. Because let's just be honest, what we're working on is quite novel, quite new. And if I say blockchain to most people, they go, ooh. And so we actually wanted to invite them in. Now, not everyone needs to go to the depth of a blockchain deep dive, but some people want to do that. Some just need, say, from procurement, just want to understand the concepts. What am I working with? And so throughout, I mean, Isabella, how many of your team were with us? I can't even remember how many.
Yeah, I think I can give a ballpark. Altogether, more than 20 people, different areas. Yeah, so that because you want to make sure that also the people that are dealing with the documentation, the compliance, the IT, people from the marketing team, people from the sales team, they are able to also to translate the learnings into their discussions, right? So there was a lot of engagement, but you needed to get different people on board.
I should add that some actors did that, some did not. Some had 2 or 3 members who were their ISCC certified group who were they were the same actors who repeated. So again, we cannot force actors to work with us like in that, but that's the offer for anyone. When they join a project, we try to create these opportunities for shared learning. And you can join, you don't have to.
Also, we forgot to mention that ISCC also was an active partner in this project. So 1 to 3 participants.
And your second question?
Yes, my second question. So I'm still quite new to the concept of ISCC, so this might not be a well-placed question, but I was going to ask, so from like the software perspective, are these going to be like open standards and open specifications for other parties to develop on? So does other kind of throughput chain and custody requirements that maybe be developed alongside or connect to the Circularise system, or maybe not at all, developed on the same standards? Are those standards going to be open?
So the ISCC certification is already an open standard, so we've internalized that into our system. If we talk about our software system, there is only one part that we are IP protecting, that is our smart questioning. That is not necessarily required for mass balancing. So we've taken the rules that the ISCC have put forward, which you can download and you can read and review. You will not then get the conversion factors and all of the specifics to individual actors. That's their IP and their property. The only part that we are protecting is our smart questioning. And we are also working on our system to be interoperable, both with other ERP systems, but also with other competitors as well. I mean, we actually, again, based on collaboration, Circularise cannot and probably will not get the entire value chain. So either we make it interoperable, and we're doing this under a foundation called Act B, which is really around creating a protocol layer. I think you're more than welcome to join from Borealis if you would like, also competitors. And there we want to create the rules of the game similar to email. Because if I create a closed system and we develop one whole chain and then one actor is not in, we're just creating silos for others access to, yeah. But if you want to join, happy to do it. It's actually with my colleague Teresa. But yeah, good question. I think, yeah.
If we would invite you to a project, as we discussed before, is it already possible to present and discuss in the German language because we have German now?
I don't see her at the moment, but my colleague Robin Caro speaks. But are you talking of the system itself?
Both the system.
Okay, so we
discussion in front of
yeah, we have multiple German speakers. In fact, 3. Teresa as well, who's running the Act B Alliance. So she was actually at the Container X meeting because that's a very German grouping. We've already translated the software system into Japanese because of the partners that we have within Japan. Translating it into German is not a challenge. So, in a short answer, yes.
So I think we're... Any other questions? No?
Actually, just one little thing to say. So, for a startup of 40 people, how many languages do we have within the company? 20 nationalities, and I don't even know how many languages. So within the room, I would say we can probably try and service you. Not in Finnish, sadly. Well, although, yeah.
Well, maybe there's room for development.
We watch the space. We might have some Finnish speakers, but yeah. Our aim is to try and service our clients in the language that's best for them, and we're a global company, so there we go.
Very customer oriented.
Thanks a lot, Phil and Isabella. Thanks.